Welcome back to Leeds Lately. Before we get into this video, if you could just hit that big button down below. We're trying to hit 10k as soon as possible. Today's video though is going to be another scouting video. Now this video is going to be about a central defender because although at the moment Leeds do have a few central defenders or players that certainly that can play there, I do believe that we do need to strengthen in this position, and somebody of this kind of caliber, the person I'm going to look at today, and age 23 years old, this guy, I do believe that he would be a good signing for Leeds and somebody who could bed in over the course of a championship season, and then maybe if we do get promoted, start to see a lot more action in the Premier League once he develops, because I truly do believe that he's got quite a high ceiling, this guy. So who is it then? It's Simone Canestrelli, and he plays for Pisa in Serie B. Now, long-time Leeds fans will have PTSD flashbacks at this point to under Cellino, where we signed a load of Serie B rejects, basically, and most of them didn't work out. Most of them weren't great. Pretty sure some of them were part of the Sick Note 6. If you don't know what that is, go and just look it up. But Simone Canestrelli is 23 years old, 1.92 meters tall, which is I think 6'1", 6'2". 1.8 million euros transfer market values him at, but at the most recent sale of him, he actually went from Empoli to Pisa for 2.6 million euros. So you would expect it would have to be more than that. So maybe 3.5 million euros you'd be expecting, which isn't a great amount of money, is not a great amount of money, even for a championship club, especially when you consider that's less in pounds. He's a central defender. He can also play in holding midfield or central midfield as well. He's that good on the ball. He's right-footed, so whilst you've got Pascal Struijk on that left-hand side, you could have a backup basically for Joe Rodon in Simone Canestrelli on the right-hand side. And also, which is an added little bonus about Simone Canestrelli, he can play in a 3 as well. He's used to playing as the central defender in a 3 at club level. So there is always a potential that he could fit into this new Farke system if this is something that he's going to want to employ going forward, because we saw in the Harrogate game we did go 3 at the back at some points in that game. So somebody who can play in that system might be of use to Daniel Farke. So usually we go straight into the statistics, but let's go a little bit into the eye test. Now, I've watched a little bit of Simone Canestrelli in preparation for this video, and I want to talk about what kind of defender he is. So when you imagine a kind of quintessential Italian central defender, you imagine somebody who is good at reading the game, is good at knowing exactly when to tackle, when to go for the ball and when not to, timing's right, clever, knows exactly what's going to happen in the next phase of the game to try to counteract the opposition strikers. And I think Simone Canestrelli has all of that in spades. He is great at those things. One thing he likes to do, let's go first of all, physicality. He's very physical. He's very strong. He likes to have touch contact with players. So if you imagine that a player is looking over onto the right wing, a central striker is looking over onto the right wing because the player is going to try and play the ball over the top. Canestrelli won't always necessarily be absolutely shirt-tugging tight to him, but he will maybe within arm's reach, so he'll have an arm there because he's watching the ball the whole time, and whilst he's not pulling or causing a foul or anything, he's got an arm just touching this defender's shoulder, chest, whatever it needs to be, and then therefore he can control him without even needing to see. He knows exactly where he is and where he's going. So he gets that little bit of a feeler out, if you will, almost like an insect. He has a feeler out and he knows exactly where that player's going. He's strong, he's physical, he's good in the air. He likes to get up and challenge players for the ball and say, are you prepared to go up for this with me? Are you prepared to challenge? This does bear out in the statistics, and we'll look at that a little bit later on. Also, his timing and his decision-making is something that I was impressed by personally. I think the ability of a 23-year-old to read the game as well as Simone Canestrelli can not be understated. It is really, really good to have that, especially at such a young age. So what I mean by that is he's reading the game. He's saying, okay, well, I'm going to be touch tight to this guy because the ball's coming to him in an awkward situation, so there's always the chance that he could make a mistake. So when he does make the mistake, then Simone Canestrelli has got to be right there to try and get on the end of it. So that's what he does. And I've seen a few clips where he gets forward and he gets in front of his defender, heads the ball away, just as the defender, in front of the attacker, just as the attacker is trying to get the better of him. So he's got that kind of, like I say, the quintessentially Italian defender. He's got that in him. He's got that ability to read the game and know where things are going. He's also very good at reading where a cross is going to come into the box. He marks the space well. He also marks third man runs. Now, this is something we've actually struggled with, and I talked about us potentially doing it to other teams if we were to sign somebody like Stuart Armstrong in a couple of days ago's video, and actually Nicolas Castro doing it in yesterday's video, where you make a third man run from midfield beyond the strikers and it takes the defence out of the game. Now, Canestrelli is good at marking those runs. I've seen multiple clips of him following that midfielder into the box, making sure he goes tight and stopping that cross coming back across the box for a tap-in. And that is something that we haven't had that much. A lot of the time, we'll concede a goal and everyone's going, well, whose man was that? But Canestrelli is the type of guy who takes responsibility for those situations and goes, do you know what? I'm going to go and get that, and I'm going to go and stop that coming into the box. So he's good for that. He's also good for basically knowing exactly... It's hard to explain this one. It's kind of knowing where the next move is going to be. So say he's got the striker on him, he can see that a fullback has the ball on the opposition team and he's running forward with it. He knows that the striker wants to be able to run in behind. So sometimes he will just step up, put the striker offside and allow that flag to be blown. It's a risky strategy, but if you're all on it and you're all knowing what to do, you can get the opposition offside, and it can be an effective way to do things. He also will come forward and kind of step in front of the striker a little bit to discourage the ball to feet, and then instead of just staying there, he'll just discourage that ball to feet just for a second, and then he'll maybe drop behind the striker just to put off that ball over the top. And then sometimes it'll go anyway, and he'll already be in a good position to try and chase that down. He's pretty quick as well, pretty nifty on the ball. Short passing, very, very good. Can get the ball off the goalkeeper, can pass it to a fullback, can pass it to a midfielder, drop deep, get the ball back, open up space. He also likes to create a little bit of space for himself, passing it back to the goalkeeper, moving to the side, opening up the chance for the goalkeeper to have a passing option. And it's just little things, just little intelligent things that he does. Like, I know against, I can't remember who it was against, it might have been Bergamo. He passed the ball back to the goalkeeper, but he knew that he had a player on his back. So when he passed the ball back to the goalkeeper, he instantly just kind of cleverly just drifted the way that the striker was going anyway and blocked him off. You wouldn't have been able to blow for a free kick because he just carried on running in that direction, but it just blocked off the striker enough to put him off sprinting forward to try and go and close the goalkeeper down. The goalkeeper then gets a little bit more time. So this is what I'm talking about, a very good footballing brain, and that's what I enjoy about Simone Canestrelli. So we're going to have a little look at some of his statistics. He played 30 plus games last season, and in Serie B he scored 3 goals, which puts him in the 0.09 per 90, puts him in the 85th percentile, so the top 15% for defenders. So aerially he will go and win defensive headers and scoring headers as well, headers on goal from corners and free kicks. So that bears out in his aerials, 2.95 per 90. That puts him in the 80th percentile, so the top 20% of central defenders compared to him from similar leagues to Serie B. Other one that is a really standout statistic is interceptions, 1.69 per 90, 89th percentile, top 11% of all compared to him. And of course, this is what I was talking about. This is football in brain. Interceptions and aerials one being 2 of his highest statistics is exactly what I mean about him being able to read the game. Somebody who, I mean, I think it was it Maldini that said, if I have to make a tackle, then I've already made a mistake. And this is kind of the philosophy a lot of the time in Italian football now. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that is kind of the thing of defensively. you've got to know where to be and where to stand at the right time. And if you are in the right place, you're just going to get the ball easily, and you're going to be able to cut things out and play the ball back to a teammate and be able to recycle the position and carry on. So I think it's something that's very interesting about Canestrelli, given that he's only 23 years old. Passes attempted, 63.45, 80th percentile. Progressive passes, so passes forward, 4.07 per 90, 78th percentile. And progressive carries, he likes to carry the ball forward as well too, which is something interesting that we've talked about with players like Joe Rodon. Maybe every now and again, I would like to see it more from him. Every now and again, he would charge into the through the front line, maybe past the midfield a little bit as well, and drop the ball off. And it causes a little bit of disarray because it breaks the lines, it breaks the press, and it breaks the structure of the opposition, and they all have to move around to change things. So that's really good to have as a statistic. The progressive carries, 0.86 per 90, puts him in the 77th percentile. So that's also very, very interesting. I'm very interested in what happens with this guy. I might even follow him on SofaScore, or one of those apps where you can basically follow a player and it tells you what they do, where they go, and things like that. Because I think for what would be only a couple of £1 million for Leeds, I think it would be an excellent signing. I think he would be someone who would slot in defence, no problem if he had to start, and also come off the bench. He'd be really, really good at deputising for Joe Rodon on that right-hand side. And of course, like I said, he can play in holding midfield, he can play in central midfield, he can play in a back three, he can play in a back four. This kid's got a lot of potential. I mean, I say kid, he's only like three and a half years younger than me. I did also speak to Andrea Russo. Now, Andrea, of course, is the guy that's featured on Joe's channel a load, Italian Leeds fan. He's been on this channel actually as well, doing dream teams. But here's what he had to say about the player. And he didn't necessarily think he was as great as what I think he is, but he also did kind of agree that he's strong, he's physical, and he's got potential, definitely, for sure. So here's a listen to what Italian expert football fan and Leeds fan as well, Andrea Russo, had to say.
Hi, mate. Yeah, just a bit. Watched him last season when they played against Reggiana. So similar to Rodon, very tall, very physical, good tempo. I'm not sure the passing is his best ability, but of course he's a player that can improve, you know. I don't know, by the way, if he's ready for English football, to be fair. But yeah, very good on aerial balls and all that. Specifically, kind of hold marker, you know, because it's very physical, tall and physical, so uses that attribute of his game. Needs to improve, of course, with the passing and all of that, but yeah, decent for Serie B. I don't know, again, if it's ready for English football in that regard, you know.
But I do think he's a very, very good player, so be interested to see what happens with him. Hopefully Leeds have a look at him. You'd like to think he might be on the list. But thanks for watching Leeds Lately, and I'll see you in the next one.